Hi, my name's Traci Ruble. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm in my downtown San Francisco office right now, and I'm also part of a clinic called Psyched in San Francisco. We're a downtown psychotherapy center with many different clinicians. So while I'm going to talk to you today, understand that there's many ways of viewing mental health. So let's dive in. I want to talk today about mental health. It's apropos because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I guess my intention is to make you and myself and all of us a little more aware that mental health is a part of our overall well-being that we should be all thinking about as part of keeping ourselves healthy human beings. I also want to say something about how I view mental health in this larger cultural context. I'm an anti-dogmatist, if you will. I think I said this before, but mental health is a cultural construct. So while I'm going to make some definitions here, one of the things that I always do with clients in the therapy room, especially clients that come from a culture other than American culture, is define mental health as the client sees it. And I have some ways of thinking about it that helps us do that. According to the World Health Organization, I'm going to reference my cheat sheets here, mental health is the well-being of an individual that is encompassed in realizing their inherent abilities, their ability to cope with normal stresses of life, and be productive at work and make contributions to the community. Mentalhealth.gov simplifies it and says mental health is our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. I like that really simple definition because it's one of the few that talks about relationships. I would say that if there were a piece that we're missing from that, it's the body. You know, our emotional, psychological, physical, and social well-being are all part of mental health. There's a very close link between the physical and the emotional, and when one's not working, it affects the other. Dan Siegel's a neuroscientist out of UCLA, and he's gotten a lot of press lately, and I think he's made an interesting point, which is we're talking about the word mental, yet we don't define the mind. And so he takes a stab at defining the mind. And a couple years ago when Michelle Obama came out with her healthy eating platter and sort of reformulated the 4 food groups, he came out with a healthy mind platter. If we're going to achieve mental health, we have to have a healthy mind because the mind is intrinsic in mental health. And so Dan describes the mind as an emergent, self-organizing process. So the mind is a process, and that process arises from, while also regulates, energy and information flow in the brain and with relationships and others. So the mind is both impacting and being impacted. It's both creating energy and it's regulating its own energy, and there's a feedback loop. And if you want to read more, Dan Siegel's book, The Developing Mind, he's got a book, Parenting from the Inside Out, that kind of looks at the mind from a parenting lens. He also has The Whole Brain Child, which is, I feel like that one is a must read for every parent. Talks about kids' minds. Relative to his thinking about having a healthy mind, again, we're talking about mental health. If I were to plant some seeds with you, I'd love you to leave this conversation feeling like you had something in your back pocket that could maybe shift your life in a small way without having to invest in therapy. Let me just recount some of the things that he says have to be in balance. We need the 7 essential ingredients for a healthy mind. We need sleep time. We need physical exercise. We need focus time. We usually don't have a problem with that because that's work time when we're focusing on something. We have time in, which is some of those meditation, mindfulness practices that have been getting a lot of airtime. It's that inward focus. We have downtime, and that's different because it's that time that's unscheduled but non-active. It's that dream time or time to let our minds wander. And a lot of people do some art making or just laying around. We have playtime, which is very active, sometimes collaborative. And we have connecting time. We need other brains to actually regulate our own body-mind, our own nervous system. And I'm going to refer to the nervous system and the brain as one and the same in this regard. Now, I have my own view of mental health. And I remember when I was in graduate school, I kept thinking, well, you know, there's so many different psychological theories that have different ideas about what mental health is. And I think one of the most important elements of my growth process as a psychotherapist is that I had to, for myself and in my own bones, clearly get a sense of what mental health means as I see it. And I try to out myself with my clients so that they're also feeling like they're making an informed decision in the therapist they're choosing based on how I see mental health. Traci Ruble definition of mental health that I also think is practical. It comes right out of my experience in the room with clients. It's got 3 components to it. 1, mental health is about flexibility. Do we have the flexibility to respond to our life in many different ways? So when we're really stressed out, someone really hurts our feelings, we feel really angry, can we respond in more than one way? Okay? Psychological defenses are limiting because usually we can only use that one defensive way of responding to particular situations. So I'm kind of dovetailing the modern with the old here, the old psychological defense concept with some of the modern language, but psychological defenses are inflexible. So people come in because those defenses are creating a lot of suffering, usually in their relationships at home or at work. 2, relating or relationship skills are a fundamental process of mental health. And what I think about specifically are, what did you learn about being close as well as being distant from your young life that is, back to that word flexibility, that's inflexible? And are you able to hold 2 people in mind, right? In an interaction, can I hold my perspective and then also take your perspective and try to imagine what you're thinking and what you're feeling? And then the 3rd component to mental health are resources. Internal, I think the resiliency model sort of encapsulates what I mean by resources, okay? And there are, many versions of resources. There are intellectual resources that allows you to reframe a situation and think about it differently. There are self-observation resources. Can I self-reflect? Can I sort of step out of the situation and look at myself objectively? That's a resource. Can I leverage what I am experiencing as sensation in the body, disconnected from judgment? Can I just feel whatever electrical impulses that these emotions are generating as they are without having to fix anything? And then calm myself down if I need to. And then can I tolerate that I might have opposing points of view inside of my own self? Usually we become inflexibly entrenched into one thought about a particular topic, but inside we actually might have 5 different thoughts. Excuse me. We might have a child part. We might have an overachiever part, right? There's all different ways of thinking about a particular situation, and we get, as humans, pretty identified with aspects of ourself, but not our whole self. And so as flexibility being the underpinning, when we think about ourselves as having many parts or many minds, we actually bring out into the open a more integrated mind, a more integrated sense of self, a more integrated body, a more integrated physiology, and a more integrated neurobiology. So in my mind, mental health is the capacity to be flexible in life, both flexible in how you relate to other people, flexible in how you relate to yourself, flexible in how you think about the world, and flexible at how you are able to respond to the world. And now, as far as you leveraging therapy or just leveraging what I'm talking about today, I've created a little PDF chart, if you will, that you can download and print. And what it is it's a formulation of Dan Siegel's Healthy Mind Platter with a little tracking calendar. So for 1 week, you can just check off, how much time am I actually spending leading a healthy lifestyle that sets me up to be mentally healthy? And it's a great tool. I think that tools like this can head off certain stressors at the pass. I've certainly, people get overloaded in work environments because they spend so much time focusing. They don't have any downtime. They don't have any in time. They don't have any play time. And so I would leverage this. If you're somebody that's been really stuck, feeling like you're not getting sleep, you're feeling really anxious most of the time, you're irritable and angry, you're feeling lethargic, well, then that might be a sign that it's time to come in and talk to someone. So I'll put the number for the Psyched in San Francisco folks at the end of this video, and if that's something you need, you can come in and see us too. Anyway, I hope that you will advocate for yourself and for other people to lead a mentally healthy life. And thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.